Okay, so let's move on. Before we move on in our workbook, let's look in our student book on page 17. Okay, this is our last section, and it's grammar connections using must for logical conclusions. All right, page 17 in our student book. Must for logical conclusions. Use must and the base form of the verb to make logical conclusions based on the facts that you know. Okay, so here's something that we know. Julia works until 11 p.m. every night. Okay, so if we're going to use must for a logical conclusion, we have to use must and the base form of the verb to make a conclusion. All right, so if she works until 11 p.m. every night, maybe a logical conclusion would be she must have a difficult job. All right, so here's must and then the plus the verb, which is in the base form. Must have. She must have a difficult job. Another logical conclusion we can come to is she must not eat dinner at home. Okay, so if dinner time is around 6 or 7, maybe even 8 o'clock, she's still at work. All right, so she must not. This is a negative logical conclusion. Must not eat dinner at home. Must not, and then the base form of the verb eat. Okay? So knowing this is how we make positive and negative logical conclusions using must based on, excuse me, based on what we know, right? Then we can move on from here and move into our workbooks, right, to page 17, right? So we just turned the page in our workbooks, and page 17 we can use that to use logical conclusions with must to complete the rest of our book here. All right. So number 2, read the situation. Circle the letter of the best answer. Write a sentence with must. All right. Logical conclusion. Number 1 is done for us. Ruben doesn't like parties. He enjoys quiet evenings at home. Oh, Ruben. So their answer here was C. He must, or C is be a little shy. And so how they wrote it out was Ruben must be a little shy. Okay. Let's see what you got. Let's see what I got for the rest of these. All right, and hopefully you've taken some time to write these down and gotten the answers for yourself. All right. Number 2, Miguel plays guitar in a band. He's also a pretty good singer. So I chose A, love music. So Miguel must love music. Adriana loves math. She's studying computer science. She gets good grades. I put down D, be very intelligent. So my example probably would be Adriana must be very intelligent. Number 4, in the summer, Hannah likes tennis lessons. I'm sorry, in the summer, Hannah takes tennis lessons. In the winter, she likes to go skiing. I wrote down A, like sports a lot. So I would write down Hannah must like sports a lot. All right. Hopefully we got the same answers for those. Let's move on. to number 3. Complete the sentences. Use the words from the box and, must or must not. So we're using the words from this box, and then we're going to use the positive logical conclusion or the negative logical conclusion. But before we do that, let's look at the words or some of the phrases in this box. Alright? So the first one is, be a reliable employee. Be a reliable employee. The next one is, be a very good cook. Be a very good cook. Next one, be very creative. Be very creative. And then, know how to swim. Know how to swim. And the last one is, like working out. Like working out. Okay, so the first one is done for us. Now that we know how to say these phrases, let's plug them in here and let's make sentences using must or must not. So the first one is done for us. This is what we know. No one likes Julia's food. That's messed up. No one likes Julia's food. His food is nasty. And her cakes are terrible. And she can't even make good sandwiches. That's bad. That's real bad. So the logical conclusion is she must not be a very good cook. So sad. Can't even boil water. Number 2. Hopefully you'll take some time to complete 2 through 5. I'm going to share with you what I have. Alright? And then hopefully we'll match up. Number 2, Vincent likes art and music a lot. That's one of his paintings on the wall. So that's the information that we know. So my logical conclusion was, he must be very creative. All right, he must be very creative. Okay, number 3. This is what we know. Malcolm is often late for work. At work, he spends time talking on his cell phone and using social media. So from that, that's what we know. So my logical conclusion is, he must not be a reliable employee. He must not be a reliable employee. Number 4. This is what we know. Melinda never exercises. She doesn't like going for walks in the park. So my logical conclusion was, she must not like working out. Alright? She must not like working out. Number 5. This is what we know. In the summer, Abby goes to the beach or to the pool almost every day. So my logical conclusion was, she must know how to swim. She must know how to swim. Okay, so those were my answers to the questions. Well, those are my logical conclusions to what we know, sorry. Alright? And hopefully we got the same information. Alright? Well, excellent. If we have any problems with these or anything that we've covered so far, make sure to let me know. Right? You can email me, fisherman060@gmail.com, or you can message me on WhatsApp, or of course we can talk about these in our Zoom meetings, weekly Zoom meetings. Alright? Alright, so here we are. Unit 1 review summary, personal information, and more specifically, personality types or traits. Alright? So we started here in our workbook talking about Juliana and Annika, right, and how different they were, right? And we can see here how different they are, and we can pretty much guess what their personality traits are. All right. So that's where we started. Let's review some of the vocabulary words and phrases, all right, that we've used in this unit. Alone, dislikes, enjoys, going out, quiet, stay home, outgoing, shy. Okay, so these are adjectives that we would use to talk about somebody's personality traits, right, or personality type. And these are pretty common ones that we would use. All right, some are adjectives for personality traits, and then some are gerunds, right? Going out, right? Outgoing. They are nouns, right? That we would describe, how we would describe people. Okay. Let's keep on the examples of gerunds, right? Because that was the next thing we learned about. So these are some examples of some of the gerunds that we used in our unit. Okay. So the first one is being, right? The root word of being is be. That's the verb. Being, as we're using it here, is our gerund. Okay. The next one is cleaning. The root verb is clean, to clean. Cleaning is a noun, and it's a gerund. Doing. The root verb is do, or to do, right? And when we use doing in the form of speech that we're using, it's a gerund. Going out. The root verb is go out, right? Turning it into a gerund, we say going out. Listening. The root verb is listen, or to listen, right? Listening is a noun, right? It's something that we do. I'm sorry, it's something. It's a noun. It's a thing. Sorry, it's a thing. So we use listening as the gerund. Playing. The root verb is play, or to play. The next one's reading, right? It's something that is a noun, but the root verb from that is read, or to read. Taking, right? Taking. The root verb is to take. Using. The root verb is to use. Using is a gerund. And then the last one is working, right? And the root verb is to work. Working is our gerund. All right? Next thing we talked about was job activities, right? And with those job activities like teacher, architect, programmer, social worker, right? We have job activities, things that they do, right? And usually those are usually phrases, all right? So let's go over the phrases that we used in this unit. Design new homes. Design new homes. Find answers to problems. Find answers to problems. Help students. Help students. Imagine new ideas. Imagine new ideas. Like learning about people. Like learning about people. like working alone. Like working alone. Okay, it's good. All right, and then the last thing we did was, of course, with job activities. All right, with these phrases. Okay. So with these are also phrases, right? And we'll go over these. So the first one is be a reliable employee. Be a reliable employee. Be a very good cook. Be a very good cook. Be very creative. Be very creative. Know how to swim. Know how to swim. And then the last one is like working out. Like working out. So we use these when we were talking about logical conclusions, right? And usually we would have must right at the beginning. It's must. To form a logical conclusion, it is must plus the base form of the verb. So a positive logical conclusion is must be a reliable employee, and a negative logical conclusion would be must not be a reliable employee, right? Must be a very good cook, must be very creative, must know how to swim, must not like working out. Okay? Alright, so that covers everything in our review for Unit 1. Our next video for next week will not be as detailed. Okay, so we will not cover each and every page in our workbooks, but we will be going over each and every main topic, all right, in detail, and we will give as many examples of that topic as we can, so that we can review and make sure we understand the topic. So for next week, we will do, our goal is to review Units 2 through 4. Okay, 2 through 4. For instance, in Unit 2, we will be talking about the present perfect, right? Present perfect tense. We will not go through each and every single page that covers present perfect tense in our workbook, but we will do enough so that we get a good review of what the tense is and how to use it. All right? Because in in level 3, we run through a bunch of different tenses. All right, so it's important that we keep in mind which tense talks about which topic, which subject, and which part of speech that we don't have to worry about when we talk about tense. All right, like gerunds and infinitives, for instance. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you next week, and for you to go through this material. And when you go through it, of course, you can always contact me and let me know if you have any questions, and we will move on. All right? All right, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next week's video lesson.